My name is Crow. If you're hearing this, then the house has already learned the shape of your fear. I returned at dusk, the hour when the walls begin to sweat memories. The sky above the property was the color of old bruises, and the air tasted like rusted rain. I had sworn, on my father's grave, on my own blood, that I would never cross that threshold again. But the house remembered me. And when a thing remembers you, it calls. The front door was open. I don't mean unlocked. I mean waiting. The smell hit first, iron and wet wood and something sweet beneath it, like flowers left too long on a coffin. Each step inside felt like placing my foot into someone else's footprint, perfectly sized for me, perfectly wrong. The hallway lamp flickered. Not randomly. In rhythm. Like breathing. That was when I heard it again. The floorboards were whispering my name. Crow. 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 They spoke in the voices of people who should have been dust by now. The butcher. The girl with the broken jaw. My mother. I knelt and pressed my ear to the floor. That was a mistake. Because the house whispered back. It told me where the blood was buried. Not under the house. Inside it. Every room was a vein. Every wall, a scar stitched shut too many times. As I moved deeper, the temperature dropped, not cold, but preserved, like a morgue that never forgot its dead. The living room had changed. The furniture was gone. In its place stood a long wooden table, freshly scrubbed, still damp. At the center sat a bowl filled with dark liquid. Blood. Some houses creak when they settle. This one inhaled. If you are listening to this alone, pause for a moment. Listen to the room you are in. Did you hear that? That small sound that didn't belong. That is how it starts. The mirror watched me. Not reflected me, watched me. It wore my face with unsettling precision, right down to the scar under my left eye, the one I got the night the house first tasted blood. But its eyes were wrong. They were too deep. Too patient. Like something that had been waiting decades for me to arrive. Step closer, it said. Its voice was mine, but calmer, stronger. As if it had already survived what I hadn't yet. Behind me, the basement door sealed shut with a wet, sucking sound. The walls pulsed. Slowly. Rhythmically. The house was breathing through them, drawing air from my lungs, pushing it back thick and sour. I realized then what the basement truly was. Not a room. A chest. And I was standing inside its ribcage. Every name carved into the walls began to glow faintly, as though lit from within by dying embers. When I touched one, I felt a memory rush into my hands, panic, pain, the sharp clarity of someone realizing too late that they were going to die here. I staggered back. The floor shifted under my feet. That's when the breathing changed. It deepened. The house noticed me noticing it. From the far corner, something peeled itself away from the darkness. A shape first. Then a body. Then a child. No. Not a child. Something that remembered being one. Its limbs were too long, joints bending in places joints shouldn't bend. Its skin looked like wallpaper soaked and peeled, clinging only because it had forgotten how to let go. It smiled at me with a mouth full of adult teeth. "Do you hear it too?" it asked. The breathing. The walls. My own heart, trying to escape. I couldn't speak. So it continued. "It's hungry again. And it remembers you." The mirror behind me cracked. Inside the fractures, I saw scenes playing simultaneously, different decades, same basement. Men dragged down the steps. Women praying into splintered floorboards. Children promised they'd be quiet if only the house would let them go. None of them were let go. The child creature crawled closer, its fingers leaving wet streaks on the floor. "Your father stood where you stand," it said. "He asked the same question you're thinking now." I swallowed. "What question?" It tilted its head. "How much blood is enough? Tell me, what would you have asked in my place?" The house answered anyway. The walls split open. Not tearing, opening, like lips parting to whisper a secret. Inside them were bones arranged carefully, reverently, like offerings on an altar. Some were small. Too small. The breathing became desperate. I felt a pressure behind my eyes, and suddenly I was seeing through the house itself. I saw the foundation being laid. I saw the first blood spilled, not accidentally, not violently, but willingly. A bargain struck in the dirt. A promise made by someone who loved the idea of living more than the cost of survival. The house had been starving ever since. The mirror screamed. Not shattered, screamed. My reflection stepped out of it. He placed a hand on my chest, right over my heart. The house exhaled sharply, like anticipation. "You can leave," he said softly. Hope surged. "Too fast. But you must leave something behind." The child creature giggled. The lights went out. In the darkness, I felt hands, dozens, resting gently against me. Not attacking. Measuring. Choosing. The house whispered one final question into my ear, and I will ask it to you now. If a house demanded a life to let you live, whose name would you offer first? The breathing stopped. Then resumed. Slower. Satisfied. When the lights returned, the mirror was empty. But I was no longer alone in my body. Some memories fade. Others wait patiently for you to step back inside them. I did not leave the basement. The basement released me. There is a difference, one you only understand when something stronger than you decides you are finished being afraid down there. The stairs creaked beneath my feet, but they were dry now. Too dry. As if the house had cleaned itself in anticipation. With every step upward, the breathing followed, slower, fuller, satisfied. The sound of something that had fed and was thinking about dessert. When I reached the ground floor, I stopped. The hallway was wrong. It had stretched. Where there had once been 4 doors, there were now dozens. They lined the walls like ribs, some tall, some crooked, some so small they could only belong to children. Each door had a name carved into it. Not written. Carved. Deep. Names meant to last. The house whispered, delighted. Choose. I stepped backward until my shoulders pressed against the wallpaper. It felt warm. Damp. Alive. The names on the doors began to shift as I stared at them, letters crawling, rearranging, sharpening into recognition. People from the neighborhood. Missing faces on old flyers. Names spoken once, then never again. One door stood slightly open. I didn't choose it. The house did. Inside, time was broken. A man paced near a window, muttering prayers under his breath. Blood soaked into the carpet, spreading slowly, endlessly, never quite touching his shoes. I knew what would happen. The room made sure I watched anyway. The door slammed shut. The man screamed. Something unseen seized him and dragged him backward. His nails tore free from the floor as he begged for mercy. The house did not answer. The scene reset. Again. 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 I staggered out, choking, and the hallway responded with a sound disturbingly close to laughter. More doors opened. A woman in a bathtub, water blackened, eyes staring directly at me. A boy hiding in a wardrobe, whispering promises of silence as shadows passed beneath the door. An old man kneeling in a kitchen, carving his own name into the floor because the house demanded proof of devotion. That was when I understood. These weren't hauntings. They were records. The house wasn't remembering by accident. It was curating. "Why are you showing me this?" I shouted. The walls leaned inward. "So you understand the rules." The floor shifted, guiding me forward like a slow-moving conveyor belt toward the final door at the end of the hall. I recognized the name carved into it. Crow. My lungs forgot how to work. I shook my head. No. The door opened anyway. Inside was my childhood bedroom. Perfect. Every detail preserved, the posters, the bed, the crack in the ceiling I used to trace when sleep refused to come. And sitting on the edge of the mattress was a boy. Me. Smaller. Fragile. Eyes red from crying. My father stood over him. Alive. Breathing. Desperate. I remembered this night. Or I thought I did. The house corrected me. My father wasn't shouting. He was pleading. "Please," he said. "If it takes you instead of me, I'll do anything." The house answered by locking the door. The boy screamed. I screamed with him. The room played through to the end, slow, cruel, unavoidable. When it was finished, the silence felt heavier than the screams. The scene reset. This time, the boy turned his head and looked directly at me.
Some stories end, but some follow you into the dark. If this story stayed with you, then it has already done its job. Before you go, subscribe to this channel, because the next story may be worse than this one. Turn on notifications, so you don't miss what's waiting. And remember, once you've heard it, you can't unheard it.